So think about what during the month you might struggle with and what kind of pep talk you are gonna need when things get hard and when you start to struggle. Hello, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today we are here to talk about monthly goals. Every month I sit down and share with you how last month went and all the goals I have set up for the upcoming month. And just like every month, I'm excited to do that. I always feel like I get something out of this when I talk out loud about my goals. So even if you don't have a YouTube channel, if there is somebody in your life that you can pair up with, that you can just talk out loud, just think out loud about what your goals are. How did they go? What are you thinking for the next month or the next quarter? I think that there is a lot of value in that. So let's jump into September and start with the monthly action items. As you can see, they did not quite go so well. We'll go through them one by one, starting with picking out bridesmaids dresses. So I went bridesmaids dress shopping with my mom and my sister when we were home in Chicago, and I found 2 dresses, both of which I really love and can't decide between. So coming soon, I am actually going shopping again with my New York City. I have 2 friends here in the city that are bridesmaids, and we are gonna go have them try on both of the dresses again, and then hopefully I'll be able to pick one. So I didn't get to color this in September, but it is a goal that I'm still making progress on, and I have plans to keep working on and didn't just forget about it. So I think that's okay if you have a goal that didn't happen this month, but it's because there's other steps to it that you just haven't had time to finish. It's okay. It was also a Q3 goal that didn't happen in Q3, but it should be done by the end of October. I mean, they said it has to be done. We have to order dresses by the end of October if they're gonna wear them in May. So it'll get done by the end of the month. The next one was the only one that I actually did, which was to watch my friend's Asana tutorial. So I did watch her tutorial and I feel a little bit more comfortable and ready to set it up. And actually, I did start setting it up, so I should have shaded that one in a little bit, but I haven't finished it. I haven't even gotten remotely everything that was on my brain dump into Asana. I only started setting it up for content creation because I was planning out my content for October. So I still have a long way to go with that. It was a Q3 goal, so you won't see this in October because the way that I'm going to continue to work on this is just when I'm doing stuff for Plan with Lakin, I'm going to go put it in Asana. At least that's my plan, and we'll see if it works to get everything in, because if I do that for the entire month, well then by the end of the month, everything that I do each month should be in Asana, right? That's how that's gonna work. So every time I do something, I'm going to try to make sure that I also go put it in Asana so that by the end of the month, it's done. The other Plan with Lakin related goal was to get my finances all set up, and I didn't do it. I just didn't do that one. And that's okay. I haven't moved it over to October because I don't think it's a priority right now. It is important. It's obviously something that I need to do. I talked about this last month. I need to split up my personal and my business finances. I don't think it's going to change how I operate, either my personal budget or my business budget. I think it's just more for my knowledge and to have it structured that way so that when it is a much more significant amount of income, I can actually, like, I have the structure already set up, right? It's easier for me to set it up now with smaller numbers and less categories than it will be when it gets to be something a little bit bigger. And then the last one that I don't have colored in here is the monthly newsletter, but it is coming. I have an idea, I have a logo, like it's all planned out, just it's not going to get sent until October 1st. So I probably could shade it in, but as of the time I'm filming this video, I haven't even like set it up to send yet, but I do plan to get a monthly newsletter out on October 1st and kick off a monthly newsletter that I send every month. I talked about it a little bit more last month, but the goal for the monthly newsletter is for it to be something different and additional information or things that I learned, things that I want to share with you that I'm not sharing in a video, things that are just a little bit better in written form. So I do plan for it to be different information than all of my other social media channels. So if you haven't signed up for the newsletter and you want to sign up, I will leave the link down below for you to sign up to get the November one. Okay, the weekly action items. So the first one was the Fear Boss workbook, and I love this product and I want to use it so badly. I just didn't make time for it. I didn't schedule it. I didn't make time for that to be something that I worked on, and so when it didn't get planned, it didn't get done. I've said that before. If you don't plan to make time for your goals, they won't happen. You have to schedule them in your schedule, and unless it's like a habit or a 5-minute thing, if you don't schedule time for them, they won't get done. And this is the goal for me this month that just didn't get done because I didn't actually schedule time for it. So I haven't figured out when I'm gonna move on to actually using that product. It's a beautiful product and I want to use it. I'm also kind of nervous to write in it. Maybe that's my problem too. Maybe if I just started, it would happen. I don't know yet. So I need to think about it a little bit more. Maybe it will just be like a weekend thing when I have some free time on the weekends, but as of right now, I'm not moving it to October. The next one was to meal plan and meal prep, and I did this one every week in September. I don't know that I did the best job. It included a lot of takeout. Trying to get back into a groove in this small kitchen in New York was tough for sure. So I think we did a decent job. I did 2 weeks of the cookbook that I swear by, and we're getting back into the groove of meal planning and meal prepping. And I know as soon as we get back into the groove in October, we're gonna switch things up in November, but I'm not carrying this one over because it's just something that I think I finally got back into a groove. I feel like there's a lot of these goals for me, right, where I initially set it as a goal because I'm not good at it, or it's not part of my routine. And then I get consistent and it becomes part of my routine, so I take it off my power sheets. And then I am good for a while and then I fall apart. Something happens, right? Whether it was moving locations or something changes and I fall off. And then I have to put it back onto my power sheets to get myself back into the groove, and then I'm good again. So I feel like that works, like that system works just fine. But in an ideal state, I'm not taking things off and putting things back on the power sheets. I'm just keeping up with them. So I think maybe I just need to figure out a better way to be more consistent with some of those goals when I do take them off of the power sheets. And then the last weekly action item was to declutter, and I did this. I wasn't specific on the amount of time or space that I was going to declutter. I just did something. I decluttered some part of our apartment. And the only week I missed was the first week because we weren't here, and I've done it every week since. I am carrying this over into October in a little bit of a different way, and you will see that when we get to October. All right, the daily action items. These were all over the places. So the first one was my AM and my PM routine, and I tried, clearly I didn't try hard enough. I was trying to really let myself shrink them down to less and acknowledge that if I don't have time to do the whole thing, as long as I do some component of it, that's more than nothing and I get the check mark. But that rarely happened. It rarely happened where I did just 1 or 2 things of my morning or my evening routine. It was always an all or nothing. And so I'm still working on this all or nothing mindset. I know that we've talked about this before, and I've talked one-on-one with a lot of you about it. Like, we have to let ourselves let go of this all or nothing situation. Like, there is still value in doing it, even if you're only doing 10% of it. That's more than 0, and that still gets me closer to doing 100% of it. So I need to get back to that mindset, and we're carrying both of those over to October, which you probably could have assumed if you watched my quarterly goals video. The next one was to declutter 100 photos, and this one really just fell into the AM routine. It's part of my morning routine. It's on my Routine Meister app, so if I do my morning routine, I declutter 100 photos, and it's just kind of part of that. And it turns out it's usually a few more than 100 because I do it for 3 minutes and just 3 minutes straight. Since I'm not always good about doing it every day, maybe I should up it to like 5 minutes so that I get through more photos. The next daily action item was to learn, and I'm happy to say I did more than learn this month. There were days that it was a conversation, and it was a conversation with a family member or with a friend, and whether it's somebody that agreed with me on things or didn't, we were having important conversations about the social injustice in our country. And we saw a couple more people in person this month, so that enabled us to have some more of those conversations, because these conversations are tough to have over the phone or virtually. And so I think I'm really excited about the progress that I made in that space in September. You won't see it in my power sheets, but I said it before, and I am continuing all kinds of action and learning as it pertains to Black Lives Matter and social injustice, and you will have seen that if you signed up for the newsletter or if you sign up for future newsletters. And then the last daily action item was the Made For program, and this one didn't go so well because I broke my water bottle. And then even once I got the replacement, so I had 2 weeks where I didn't even have the water bottle, and that made things difficult and impossible, basically. I didn't even do it. And then when I got the water bottle, I don't like it. I don't like their water bottle. And water is still something that I struggle with. I talked a lot about this in a weekly vlog that I will link up above if you want to hear more about my water mindset and how I'm trying to figure that out. But in general, the Made For program in terms of a habit didn't go so well in September. I did not put it on my power sheets for October, and the biggest reason is because my kit got sent to Texas. I am in conversations with them trying to figure out if I can get a digital version or a replacement in time to still participate in October, but it just might not be happening. And we'll see. I might pick it up in November. It sucks because I really wanted to do this program justice from start to finish, to be able to tell you whether I think the price is worth it, because it's a big price tag. And I feel like so far I'm like 0 for 2. All right, let's go ahead and flip to October. It is a new quarter, and so I have a new set of overarching quarterly goals that all of these monthly goals will fall into. So if you did not watch my quarterly Q4 goals video where I talk about my Q4 goals, I highly recommend going to watch that video first, because some of these goals might not make sense without that video. So let's start with the encouraging words. And my encouraging words usually are a quote. I usually do my goals and then I go pick a quote, and that's what I make my encouraging words. Well, I listened to the Power Sheets podcast this month. Well, I listen to it every month, but when I was listening to it this month, and by the way, if you don't use the Power Sheets prep work podcast, highly recommend. Basically, Laura just walks you through each page of the monthly prep work, and she gives you some tips and some advice, and then she turns on some music and gives you a timer, and then you work through that page on your own. I think it's very helpful, and I record the actual writing, but otherwise I follow along with the podcast. So this month in the podcast, she was talking about the encouraging words, and she said to think of it as a pep talk to yourself when you struggle with something. So think about what during the month you might struggle with and what kind of pep talk you are gonna need when things get hard and when you start to struggle. So I thought about October, and I thought about what I am likely to struggle with in the month of October, and I knew it was going to be trying to get all of the things done before we left for Chicago. So I've talked about this in a few places, but we are planning to head to Chicago in November, and so I knew I was gonna be like, I have to get all the decluttering and all the cleaning and all the things done before we leave. So the encouraging words I wrote to myself are, it does not have to all get done before you leave. So I can remind myself, every time I look at my Power Sheets, I am gonna see that quote and be like, okay, Lakin, it doesn't all have to get done before you leave. And then the top priority I put for October is to get outside. This is possibly the last month of pretty weather before it gets a little bit cold and we have to start layering up a little bit more, and scarves and gloves and all those things. And I mean, we could end up with a beautiful November. We never know. But I am mentally preparing that October is gonna be our last month of beautiful weather. And I'm telling myself to get outside. Can you be, whatever you're doing right now, can you be doing it outside? Can you go sit in the park and do that right now? Go outside and enjoy the weather. So let's get into the action items. Starting with the monthly action items, the first two are both my apartment related goal, and that is to declutter. So I wrote down to make a list of all the spaces I want to declutter and then complete that list. I broke it up into 2 steps because I know having a list of spaces that I want to declutter is important. And then what I'm gonna do, which goes back to my encouraging words, is split up that list into 3 categories. It's gonna be things that have to get decluttered before you leave for Chicago. And truthfully, there aren't really many of those spaces left. I did like the bathroom and the clothes and like my nightstand and makeup. Like those are the places that really needed to get done before we left. Otherwise, I think there aren't gonna be too many things, if any. The memory keeping stuff, that's probably gonna be the one thing under has to get done before you leave. Then I'm gonna have would like to get done before you leave. And then I'm gonna have really doesn't have to get done before you leave. Like if you have time and you can get to this section, great. If not, it's okay. Okay, the next one is my memory keeping goal. And originally, when I set my memory keeping goal up for December daily, I thought, well, I'm not really gonna have anything in October. I might have something in November, but in October, I'm not really gonna have anything yet. And I was wrong. Because we're going to be packing up to go to Chicago, my memory keeping goal for October is to organize all my memory keeping supplies in a more transportable form, in something that I can easily take from here to Chicago, and then even more so easily move while I'm home in Chicago. Because during the weeks I will have my own like desk space in my brother's room, but when he's there every other weekend, I have to get out of there, and so I need to be able to move stuff around. So that is my goal for October, is to get all of the supplies that I have here. Now my actual December daily supplies, my new 2020 stuff, I sent to my mom's. So that stuff I'm gonna have to organize when I get there. But all the stuff that I have here that I wanna take with me, I am gonna get that organized in October. All right, the next 2 monthly action items are both wedding related, and that is to work on our registry and to work on like the story section of our website. And I put both of these down with a little note that says in the car. So we have a long drive to Chicago, and it is technically in October. So I put this down as something that we can work on when we are in the car. So whoever's in the passenger seat, it's probably more likely gonna happen when I'm the passenger and Sam is driving, to write things down and start making lists for both of those things. I don't know that they'll completely get done in October, but I would like to make good progress on them while we were in the car. All right, the next 2 are my Plan with Lakin related goals, which are both related to batching content and getting things done in advance. So the first one one is just to batch my November content and get that done. I should have put that on a goal for September to do it for October. October's a little bit more tough because there's a lot of new products launching soon. That is making batching a little bit tougher, but for November, I should definitely be able to batch it all in advance before we leave. And then the other one is to plan Vlogmas. So I've mentioned this in a few places. I am planning to participate in Vlogmas this year, and it is going to look different than years past. Hopefully good different. Hopefully you like some of the changes that I'm making, but I do still have some planning that I need to do for it, even though I've already brainstormed a little bit. The next two are both my physical health related goals, which is to get better sleep. That's the overarching quarterly goal. So I have two goals related to this in the monthly section. The first one is to read a book. And I got the idea to put a specific book, like read X book, in the monthly section from Katie, who's one of my patrons and who also, she sat at my table at Cultivate Your Year Live, and she does this with books. She'll put read blah, blah, blah in the monthly section. So I decided to do that. So I'm gonna read Why We Sleep, which is a book I've had on my shelf for a very long time. In fact, it's right there behind me, and I'm going to read it this month. So I put that on my monthly action items. The second one is to make a list of things I want to track. So this is going to take a little bit of research on my part. I'm thinking some of it might be in the book, and then some of it will be me doing some work to learn what impacts our sleep. What are the things that can impact our sleep? You know, what we're eating closer to bed, how much coffee, when I had coffee, did I have alcohol that day, when did I have it? Like those kinds of things that I think could impact my sleep, and I want to all I'm doing in October is making a list of those things. Actually tracking them will come in November, but in October, I just want to get the list down of the things that I want to track. And then the last monthly action item is to make a gift plan for the holidays. I almost said Christmas, but it's also for Hanukkah for my in-laws. And so all of the gifts that we plan to give for the holidays, I want to make a plan for them in October so that I'm on top of that. Some of them is so that if I want to buy them while I'm here in New York, or try and figure that out, if I want to have it shipped to Chicago or shipped to New York, and figuring all of those logistics out, I want to get that plan done in October. All right, the weekly action items. So both of my weekly action items are related to my mental health goal of reading more. So I had in my monthly action item to read a specific book, and in the weekly section, I'm actually putting two specific times that I want to make sure I'm reading. I am also reading in the mornings during my evening routine, and then in the evening before I go to bed when I'm good about that. But I listened to a podcast recently from The Lazy Genius, who I've talked about before. It's her podcast recently on fall reading. And she talks about, she has 3 small children, and she finds 2 hours a day to read. 2. She finds pockets of time in her day to read 2 hours a day, and that's incredible. And so I want to take that inspiration from her and find more times in my day to read. So the 2 times I'm starting with is at least 1 hour on the weekends. I almost did both weekend days. Like I almost did 1 hour on Saturday and 1 hour on Sunday. But for now, I'm starting with 1 hour on the weekends, and I could do 30 and 30, could do 45 and 15, or I could do the full hour. But I want to find at least an hour on the weekend to spend reading that isn't the reading that I'm doing now. And then the second one is to read one weeknight, like earlier in the evening, not just when I get to bed. And I'm caveating this with no TV that night. So one night during the week, no TV, and I'm just reading between the time that I'm done with whatever I'm working on that evening until I go to bed. All right, the daily action items. So the first one is the 100 days challenge. So I shared this on Instagram, but I am encouraging everybody to focus on the last 100 days of the year and do something consistently for those last 100 days. If you did not see this and you want to join in, check out the highlight on my Instagram and join us. It is not too late, because the goal is not to be perfect. The goal is not to do it I guess the goal is to do it every day for 100 days, right? Let's be honest. But in reality, that's not likely to happen. So the goal is to do it as many days as possible for the last 100 days. So even if you're jumping in 2 weeks late when you see this video, that's okay. Join us on Instagram, pick something that you want to focus on for every day for the last 100 days or last 90-ish days of 2020. Then I carried over AM routine and PM routine, and same thing as September. I'm really going to try to focus on anything. Any piece of my AM and PM routine is enough, and that's something, and that's progress. And I'm going for all those checks. The next 2 daily action items are both related to my sleep goal. So the first one is to use my Hatch. I did it. I bought the Hatch. I couldn't resist. If you watch my weekly vlog, you already saw me open this and get it all set up. I couldn't resist it. I had so many people tell me that they loved it and it's amazing. And then Emily Lay talked about it and how much she loves it. So I bought it. they had a sale, they had $15 off, and so I bought it, and I wanna make sure that I am consistently using it every single night because they do have a 60-day money-back guarantee, and I want to make sure that it's worth it. I wanna make sure that it's worth the money and that I actually want to keep it. So the 2 daily action items are to use it and then to track my sleep and actually see if there's a difference in the quality of my sleep by using this product. Because if there isn't, then I can't justify that price tag and I do need to send it back. So that's my goal for October, is to use this product every day and to track my sleep, which just means like put on my watch and then look at it the next day and see how it was. And hopefully we'll see an improvement and I actually enjoy this product and can endorse it. But to be determined on that. All right, I'm bringing back the goal scheduling. I don't have too many goals that are taking up that much time that aren't already in my schedule, or too many extra hours. Obviously that was intentional. So the couple things that I need to get down are the supplies, Vlogmas, the tracking list, the gift plan, and then the rest of the hours are gonna be declutter. So the supplies, I actually have 2 hours. One is gonna be, I'm gonna order materials or whatever. I asked on Instagram actually for some suggestions on how to organize my member keeping stuff, and then I will do an hour later on where I actually organize the materials. So we'll just put that over there. And then the Vlogmas plan, we can do that towards the end of the month. That doesn't necessarily need to happen earlier. Maybe I'll just do the gift plan on the same day and just, it'll be very Christmassy. Well, actually, no, I want the gift plan earlier. Let's do it this day because I want to be able to order some stuff that we might need before we leave. And then, so the tracking list actually needs to happen like way later because I think I'll have some stuff that comes out of the book. So I'll put this here. I'm also planning to do additional research besides just the book. So, all right, that's it. So the rest of these hours are going to declutter and then any other extra time I get for declutter. This is just, again, this is super messy, but this is just for me. And so now I'm gonna go into my Google Cal, and where I have just goals for that 1 hour on Thursday, I'm gonna put plan and order, organization materials. And then on Friday, I'm gonna put declutter and so on and so forth. So I do have some extra time on weekends. That's a big difference from what I'm doing this month than what I've done in the past. I have extra time on the weekends, but right now I'm not putting any goals there because if I feel like I need that relaxing time on weekends, I wanna take that relaxing time. But I know on all 3 of these, well, not really this weekend, but these 2 weekends, I know that there's some extra time if I need to catch up on some goal stuff on the weekend time. All right, that's it. Those are all of my goals for October. I am excited. I'm always excited for a fresh month. Come on, let's be real. I'm excited for a fresh quarter. Let's put it that way. I'm excited to focus on some different things. And even though the overarching yearly themes are staying the same, I'm still focusing on different things with a quarterly refresh, and I love that. By the way, if you have not seen a sneak peek of the inside of the new Power Sheets, they did a Facebook video where they showed the insides. I will link it below. Video of the new Power Sheets coming very, very soon. Let me know down in the comments, what is one thing that you accomplished in the month of September that you are super proud of? Let's celebrate your wins together, even if it was small, even if it was one small step. Progress is still progress. I added that sticker. Little by little, progress adds up, and it's true. So let's celebrate together. What is one thing that you accomplished in the month of September? Let us know down in the comments. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, please click that subscribe button. I upload new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Thank you so much for watching. Happy planning. Whoever is in the passenger seat, does my hair not stay not attached to my neck? Or I talk about my cute I should update to, and the only week I'm